In the fog-drenched hills of rural Ireland, whispers of the Dullahan sent chills down even the bravest spine. The headless horseman, bound by a curse older than memory, was said to ride across the countryside, seeking his next victim. As the ominous full moon cast a pale glow on the ancient stones of Killarney, young Maeve O'Connell stood at her window, the dread tales of the Dullahan clawing at her thoughts like a relentless specter. Maeve had always been curious, perhaps too much for her own good. She had heard the stories since she was a child, tales passed down by her grandmother with a shudder and a warning. According to those who claimed to have seen him and lived, though few they were, the Dullahan rode a midnight black steed, its eyes burning like embers from an eternal fire. In his hand, he held his own disembodied head, the grotesque face locked in an eternal grin that could freeze blood. But Maeve was not one to surrender easily to fear. She had planned to join Ian and Fergus later that night for their usual mischief, exploring the ancient ruins bordering the forest. The trio had always laughed in the face of such legends, treating them as fanciful tales to spook the weak-hearted. As the hour grew late and the moon shone brighter, Maeve grabbed her coat and slipped out into the chilling night. With each step away from her home, the night grew darker and an unnatural silence settled around her, as if the world itself were holding its breath. The ancient ruins slumbered in quiet stillness, their stones cold and unyielding beneath her fingertips. It was then she heard it, the sound of hooves beating against the earth, a rhythmic drumming that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Panic seized her heart as she turned, hoping it was just her imagination. But as the fog parted, there he stood, or rather he rode. The Dullahan, a dark silhouette against the moonlight, his head held high in his hand. Maeve's legs refused to move, as if rooted to the cursed ground. The Dullahan's head turned, its deathly grin widening as if savoring her terror. His eyes, devoid of life yet burning with malevolent intent, locked onto hers. She opened her mouth to scream, but no sound came. The curse had claimed her voice even before it claimed her soul. The last thing Maeve saw was the Dullahan spurring his horse forward, the pounding hooves drowning out the frantic beating of her heart. Darkness consumed her vision as the legend became unbearably real. Maeve O'Connell was never seen again, but the whispers of that night echoed through the village. The Dullahan had ridden once more, and so the uncanny legend continued, each uneventful night carrying the dreadful potential of another visit from the headless horseman. The villagers locked their doors and windows tight, but in their hearts, they knew some curses are bound to ride forever.